Hello, wherever you are joining us from today, we want to say a huge welcome to our global community. We hope that you're enjoying the Customer Marketing Summit. I also want to send out an extra special thank you to all our sponsors, partners, and participants who together have made this event possible. We are also delighted to welcome Crowdvocate as our headline sponsor today. Their sessions are bursting with insights to help you level up. But remember, the learning doesn't stop here. If you haven't already, you can upgrade your pass to include access to all today's sessions on demand with our Access All Areas pass. Or you can become a PMA Pro member and benefit from unlimited access to exclusive templates, frameworks, and our entire library of videos and slide decks from our events. And remember, have your questions at the ready. Simply post your question in the comments section and get awesome advice from an expert in the field. What's not to love about that? So now, on to the next talk.
Hello, and welcome to the 3 building blocks every advocacy program needs. My name is Erica Anderson, and I'm a Senior Director at Influitive. In this session, we'll be looking at how to build customer and advocacy programs that achieve the coveted win-win, where you're furthering your business goals and creating value for your customers. You'll leave this session understanding the key pillars of a successful customer advocacy program and with practical advice for kickstarting your program, even if you don't have budget for technology. Before we dive in, let's start with introductions. So take a minute to answer these questions in the chat, and I'll just give you a quick snapshot of my background. I actually started my career in reference management. I loved working with customers and stakeholders from across the business, but felt like it was pretty reactionary and that we only really talked to customers when we needed something from them. So I was really excited to move into a more proactive role where I was focused on starting and growing our online community. From there, we expanded with event programs like regional user groups, customer conference, and customer advisory boards, and with educational programs like webinars, workshops, and Ask the Experts. Throughout running and setting up these different programs, I noticed that many of the same customers would pop up in these different programs and have so much energy and interest and passion for our brand. This led to starting a new advocacy program for the Oracle team that I was working on. And this is where I ran into Influitive. I like the Influitive product and team and vision so much that in January of 2021, I joined the Influitive team where I now serve on their practice team. So you could argue I'm an example of the highest form of advocacy. I'm not going to go super in depth with why there's such a growth in advocacy and why I think your organization should be considering it today, but I wanted to touch on just a few main drivers for why I think advocacy is on the rise and why you're likely seeing more community, customer marketing, and advocacy roles in your LinkedIn feed. The first reason that you've probably heard is that buyers don't trust traditional marketing and sales. They're not even engaging sales until later in their sales cycle. As a result, companies are investing in advocacy programs to work with their customers to generate social proof that they can include in all of their marketing and sales efforts and help reach their target audience and establish trust through the voice of their peers. The second reason is that there's a huge increase in subscription-based businesses. With a subscription-based business, there is an urgency to have customers see value with their initial trial or purchase so that they will upgrade and buy more. Companies are heavily investing to improve their customer experience and investing in programs and processes to help customers be as successful with their investment as soon as possible and supporting them through expanding their usage. And as these Forrester stats testify to, advocacy, the art and science of listening, collaborating, and partnering with your customers to improve your business is good for the bottom line. All right, so in terms of setting up an advocacy program, there are 3-phase process that I want to take you through. A lot of companies come to us wanting all things advocacy, but we need to break it down and follow this process to get started. By following this process, you're going to develop a clear proposal for why you need a program, what type of program you should invest in, and what type of investment is required. Keep in mind, you're planning a customer program, not a one-off campaign. Your efforts here are laying the tracks that will create a train of engagement and value for both your organization and customers for years to come. One final note is that throughout the slides, you'll see references to worksheets. Pull up your handout to see blank and filled out versions of these worksheets for each step. We won't be going through these worksheets in detail because we want to save time for Q&A, but know these resources are available to you to reference throughout the webinar and afterwards to help you act on what we'll be talking about today. In phase one, it's all about definition. It's a very critical stage because you're looking to identify and prioritize what type of advocacy your organization needs and why. So like any initiative, you want to start with the end in mind. Ask what your organization is trying to achieve this year, and then ask how your department is going to support that goal. The second aspect of setting goals is often overlooked because you need to understand the current state of what is being done today in relation to that goal. What problems are you facing? This is so important for two reasons. The first is that all design thinking starts with a problem. In order to design a customer program, you need a clear picture of what customer problem you're solving for. And the second reason is that it's very easy to set a pie in the sky goal that sounds like an industry-leading approach or mirrors what your competitor is doing, but you need a clear starting place and a realistic plan that is anchored in your organization's current reality. It's very likely that you'll have several goals. That's okay, just make sure to prioritize them. If everything is a top priority, then nothing is, and it's very hard to put your resources and define a strategy that's going to help you be effective and get the success that will help you get more resources to expand. So for the sake of example, let's say that your goal is about generating new revenue and you're in marketing. So you're likely thinking about growing the pipeline through targeted campaigns, and you're wondering how advocacy can help through maybe like referrals or references or reviews. That leads us to the second portion where we want to think through our objectives. Objectives are typically the specific projects that you want to complete to support an overarching goal. In a customer program, you want to shift your objectives to be what you want your members to do in order to meet your goal. Then a core part of your program is focused on how to make those efforts easy and valuable to participate in, which we'll get to later. I've included some examples of possible member objectives tied to different business goals here. To continue with the goal of generating revenue, you might want members to submit reviews or take reference calls, submit testimonials, participate in success stories, submit referrals, or share content on social, or share a referral link on social. You can see there are lots of different ways that customers could help meet your goal. So even get more specific and prioritize them beyond the broad advocacy umbrella and really pick what are the specific behaviors you need members to do in order to meet your goal. From here, you want to look at and find out who and what is available to help you with your goals. You do this by meeting with other departments to understand their goals, challenges, and KPIs and how they currently engage customers. You might have a crystal clear focus on your goals and feel ready to move on, but it's critical to take time to meet with other teams, regardless of what department you're in. The first reason this is so important is that if there is alignment between goals, then having other teams aligned and supporting your program makes your job easier and your program's value proposition more compelling for your customers. The second reason is part of the secret sauce. Your customers interact with your brand as a whole, so you need to understand the context of your program through your customers' eyes. This will help you identify what the customers are and aren't getting from your organization and where your program could provide unique value to them. Throughout these conversations, you're also going to find existing processes and programs that you can leverage. There's a great worksheet here to help you fill out and capture what your ecosystem is and how your program can be a part of it. So don't miss that. At this point, you'll have a sense of what type of advocacy program you need to start with. For example, you might be thinking you need a CAB to gather feedback and inform company and product strategy, or potentially an executive sponsorship program to deepen relationships that support retention and expansion. It could be an advocacy program to generate a lot of different forms of social proof, or a beta program to systematically improve your products and get early advocates before rolling them out more broadly, or a community to deflect your support costs and gather product enhancements. From there, you'll select KPIs based on your program's objectives and your company goals. To continue with our example of generating revenue, if you decide to prioritize reviews, you might measure the number of reviews gathered, and then some other metric tied with how you're using reviews. It might be around customer choice awards or Magic Quadrant rankings, leads from a campaign that's promoting the Magic Quadrant results, or maybe it's A/B testing on a campaign landing page to see how it performs when excerpts from reviews are included. Whatever your KPIs are, you want to establish baselines so you can illustrate your program's impact and lay the foundation for growth, whether it's investing in more headcount or scaling with technology. Finally, make sure you have a system in place to measure your impact, even if it's just a spreadsheet. All right, moving on to phase 2. Phase 2 is all about design, where we're going to be selecting our target market and planning our program's structure. Since you know your goals and what you need your members to do, you will want to intentionally select which customers you're targeting in your program. For some simple examples, if you're looking to have high-level conversations about the direction of the market and where your solution fits in, you're probably going to want to talk with a higher-level person, like a VP or above. If you're looking for product feedback, you need people who are regularly using the product, and likely even the person who's like the champion or the administrator for an organization or a power user. If you're looking for social proof, you want to be focused on your happy, successful customers. If your goals are more around product adoption and retention, then you're likely looking at a program for all customers. I'd strongly recommend talking with some real-life customers who fit your target market criteria in order to understand more about their role, their goals, and their pain points. You can't design a program for someone if you don't know what is meaningful to them. As much as possible, start with a narrow target so you can really tailor your program to resonate with a segment of your customer base and not try to be all things to all people. If you look at our second worksheet in the handout, you'll see a persona placemat, example of an advocate persona, and an interview guide to help you through the process of developing a persona. From here, we want to look at what needs to be in place in order for customers to participate in the desired behaviors or the member objectives that we discussed earlier. For each of your specific member objectives, map out their processes, including things like where the process starts, who does what throughout the process. And you may want to note any additional criteria for a specific opportunity. For example, any customer can participate in your online community, but you have limited resources for case studies. So you're really trying to prioritize your case studies around target industries, for example. If you look at the third worksheet, you'll see a framework to help you do this with some examples. Now that you've outlined this, now that you've outlined how they're going to do it for you, that lets you identify opportunities to develop resources or define handoffs to help reduce the friction. So this ties back to making it easy to do the behaviors you want them to do. The second piece of this is thinking about how can we make it valuable for members to participate in these behaviors? Like what's in it for your target members or that persona that we discussed earlier to participate in these behaviors? And how is it going to help like reduce their pain and increase their gain? So really understanding what's meaningful to them is going to help you here. So to do this, take each of your desired behaviors or your member objectives and just make a couple notes about what's the value for customers to participate. This is a good exercise that forces you to articulate the intrinsic value of the activities you're asking members to do. It also helps you check how compelling your program is. What are you asking from and giving to members? What is your program offering that they can't get anywhere else? It's very likely that you'll need to invest in programming that's going to create value for them. Often this comes in the form of helping them grow and meet their goals. And by doing this, you'll be building relationships with your organization. So a few examples of this is if you're looking to set up a CAB and you know that like the networking and the problem solving is really important to them, it's likely that you'd want to dedicate a portion of your CAB agenda to customer roundtables or securing a customer showcase presentation. For an advocacy program, if you're pushing for like a lot of reviews, that might get kind of repetitive over time. And so you might want to look at offering something like a thank you or rewards or points for their effort to support you so that they can put their points towards something like branded swag or a conference pass or free training or gift cards. If you're setting up regular events like new product overviews or best practices, Ask Me Anythings or expert interviews, you're going to make your community a much more compelling place to go to than if it's just forum boards where they can ask questions, because you're providing a lot more material for them to learn from and spark conversations from. So in short, we want to have your goal and understand what you're asking members to do in order to support you. And then there's two sides to that. How do we make it easy for them to do those behaviors? And that's mapping out your process of what's in place to support those behaviors. And then this second piece is how do we make it valuable for them to do the behaviors? Some behaviors are going to have a lot of intrinsic value, right? If you ask a question on your community and you get a quick response, then that's helpful because you got a good answer. But how are you going to make it valuable for the person who's answering questions on your community to get value? So there's some where you want to be thinking about who's your target market, who are you trying to go and get more activity from? All right. So by engaging this process, you will have the makings of your program's value proposition, which is core to your internal and external program communications. It includes why your program exists and who your program is for, what members do and what value they get, and then how to get started. I've included several examples here you can reference in the slides for you to see different ways that this has come to life. All right, phase 3. In phase 3, we have now defined and designed your program, and you're ready to move into the final step of outlining what is going to be required to support the program. Every program requires a combination of people, process, and technology coming together to achieve the goal. As we look at each of these, remember that your organization already has some of what you need. Look at what is existing that you can leverage, what you can build onto, and what is missing and needs to be developed. So from a people standpoint, it's very common to start with one Uber customer role. This is typically someone who's manager or hire who starts the program. This person needs to be very strategic with strong communication and relationship building skills, creative and organized. It's really core that they're thinking bigger than just the initial program. They need to develop a plan and a roadmap or vision, and then execute on it and prove the success so they can get more resources and start building out a bigger vision with more specialized roles. From a process and technology standpoint, we've listed processes that are common to advocacy programs. Of course, the specifics will vary depending on what type of program you're starting, but you can easily identify what is needed between the work that you did earlier and this list. We've also included some common technology requirements to support those processes. If you don't have a budget, you could start a program with in-house tools that you already have, improve your success and grow from there. However, many organization requirements do mature as they get weary of living in spreadsheets and emails, and they're struggling to leverage existing data or share the data they're gathering back with the organization. They feel like they're overusing advocates, or they're not systematically giving back, or that their program is going well, but they really need to do more to scale and automate it beyond what their in-house tools can support. And so they look to invest in advocacy and community platform like Influitive that can help really build out their program and take it to the next level. All right, so by engaging with this process, you can plan the different types of customer programs that your organization might need. You might have one platform powering your customer programs, but you shouldn't have just one Uber customer program. You should have a holistic approach to your customer programs and develop different programs addressing distinct customer segments and their unique needs. If you look at worksheet 5, you'll see examples of different customer programs with the goals, behaviors, process, and value filled out to help you see how this could come to life for your organization. All right, so let's look at some real life examples to get a little bit more tangible on how these programs come to life for each customer segment. If we start with all customer programs at the bottom of our pyramid, You can see here that you could have like kind of a one-stop customer shop or a central area that includes things like forums for them to ask product questions and get answers and help from their peers and your support team. You could set up an area for customers to submit their product ideas and enhancement requests with voting and updating the status when ideas are released. You can have an events calendar that highlights the different upcoming virtual and physical events that they could participate in, and setting up groups, whether it's industry groups or special interest groups or regional groups. You can also offer onboarding programs or education, training, or certification programs, product announcements, or content that you would like them to read, like customer stories, to help them understand core use cases and apply best practices. You'll oftentimes want to be highlighting industry news to them. You could have a job board within your customer base. You could have regular feedback opportunities about how they're using the product or their org details. Or you have other feedback opportunities like Voice of the Customer program or NPS. Now, here's an easy example of how you can systematically start to tie your programs together and recruit advocates from your overall customer base and create a journey for them. With Influitive, you can start to target your members with different opportunities based on what you know about them. This could range from product usage, location, industry, or even something as simple as their NPS score. If they're a detractor, you might ask them for more feedback or notify their CSM. If they're a promoter, you could start sharing advocacy opportunities for them, which brings us to our next customer segment around advocates. This focuses on different opportunities and programs geared towards advocates. So oftentimes reviews and references are great initial asks of advocates to help them get warmed up. Success stories in a case study or a video or an event session are also great ways to capture an advocate story. But there's so much more that your customers can do from you, ranging from testimonials to sprinkle in your website and email campaigns. There's beta or UX testing. They could be sharing content on social or posting to social or submitting referrals for you. But it doesn't stop there. You can be tapping them for user-generated content like use cases, templates, blog posts, or participating in like ROI studies, which are great for lead gen. You also can be doing different industry awards or annual awards, which are a great way to recognize top customers and learn more about new customer stories. You can be gathering first-party data about your customers for deeper insights and to do more personalization and moments of delight with them. And you can also be doing things where you offer like mentor or buddy programs and help your most successful customers take other customers along the same journey and benefit from their expertise. In the final stage of our pyramid here, we're focused on the elite customer programs. Elite customer programs are going to be reserved for your most strategic customers, and most often by current or potential revenue, or because they're using priority products or in a target industry. There also could be programs that are elite because it's tied to a certain segment of the customer base, like your top advocates, or like your most top strategic advocates or super users who are answering so many questions in your community and really active in the broader ecosystem for your product. In those scenarios, there's usually like a certain criteria that has to be met and a time frame, and they have to requalify annually. But let's take a quick look at how some of the an Influitive can help power some of those types of customer programs. Since elite customer programs are reserved for your most strategic customers, they're exclusive with some kind of criteria to get in. So you could have exclusive channels to support your CABs, industry councils, or campaigns to support an executive event. Or as I mentioned, you might have a program that's geared towards like top advocates or super users where there's a certain criteria and the time frame that they would have access to that exclusive area. Within Influitive, you can leverage gamification mechanics with points, badges, levels, and leaderboards across all these different programs. And finally, you can reward your customers for their participation by letting them use their points to redeem rewards, whether it's company swag, free training, certification vouchers, charitable donations, free consulting sessions, golf with the CEO, and more. Your rewards portfolio can be part of creating a unique and differentiated brand experience for your customers. And with that, we will move to Q&A. Thanks so much for your time today.